Hello there. If you've been here, you know I quite like Clionadh, so when they announced the new palette quite a while ago, I got excited. Upon reveal, I was planning on getting this, but now that I've had time to think about it, I thought it would be best for me to give these shades in my collection some love before introducing new ones. So this is what I'm doing. I'm duping the vibes of the palette. I can already see that I had more options for some shades and less for others, but it's better for me to realize what I already have. This is not so much about saving money, but about getting to use my existing shades in new ways. By the way, when I filmed this, there were just these two promo swatches, and that's all I based this off of. I'm sure as more creators post, there's gonna be more accurate swatches and a better idea of the formula. So it may not be a perfect dupe, but that wasn't the point anyway. With that out of the way, let's just get into the process. And I'm starting with Saltwater Pearl, which is described as a bright silver that has a sheer siphon base with aqua shifts and hints of warmth. To me this shade looks like a sparkly white with very subtle shifts, so I'm just bringing out my sparkly whites, which happen to be Goody Goody Gumdrop by Luxie, Fairlights by Laminatrix, and Starboy by Luxie. Goody Goody Gumdrop is at the top, Fairlights is in the middle, and Starboy is at the very bottom. These are all of my sparkly white leaning shades. They're so similar but so different, but there's just something about that very subtle shift in Goody Goody Gumdrop that makes me think it's going to fit this palette better, so I'm going to just place it. The band is a rich teal base with large glitter particles shifting lilac, beige, yellow with hints of lime. And for this I chose Terramon's Star Sign. Also Paradise by Copacetic Cosmetics. These two are totally dupes, if you ask me. I don't notice any difference. I also wanted to include Unicorn Tooth by Touch of Glam, but as you can see the base in this one is much stronger than the others. The shift is spot on though, but I feel like Clionadh's is going to be a bit more muted, so I'm going to have to pick Star Sign by Terramon's just because this formula is a little smoother than the one in Paradise. Fool's Gold is a warm brown base with yellow, lime, aqua shifts and hints of purple. I have lots of options for this one, starting with Saltwater Taffy by Luxie, Peacock by Luxie, Celesta by Divina. You can tell it's a bit more expensive than these two. The 8th by Touch Glam. This one has a strong warm base. And All Made by Laminatrix. This one is exactly like Celesta but with a stronger base and shift. Remember last video when I said I tried to avoid dupes in my collection? Well, seems like I'm not trying hard enough. The only one that is really different here would be the 8th by Touch of Glam because it has a very strong shift with a very vibrant base, so I'm not going to use that one because it's too far from Clionadh. I'm going with the one at the top, which is All Made by Laminatrix, just because I think it's the closest to the one they showed. Kelp Forest is a deep, cool brown base with green, turquoise, blue and indigo shifts. For this one, I wanted to try Cosmic Dancer by Terramon's, but I'm noticing it's less green and more aqua. Next, this is Exosphere by Divina Cosmetics. This one is a black-based multichrome with shifts of green and blue. Next, this is a Teapot from Danessa Myricks Volume 4. It's out of body and it's also a black-based multichrome. This is 6 cents and it's from the same palette. This one has more lime in it. And now I'm going to switch the lighting just so you can see better how all of these shift to a blue. But all of these are so different from one another. I honestly wasn't sure of which one to pick, but I ended up picking 6 cents by Danessa Myricks just because it doesn't have a very strong base. As you can see, the bases here, Exosphere and Out of Body have a very dark base, and Cosmic Dancer is just too different from a green. So I guess I could say 6 cents makes more sense. Ring of Fire is described to be a large particle glitter shadow with red hot sparkles that shift over red, orange, peach and yellow. Unfortunately, I'm not much into orange, so I don't have enough oranges to pick from. So I grabbed Bonfire Bay by Luxie, Bestie by Yeti Glow, which I'm no longer buying from, but you know, I'm using what I have. Salamander by Clionadh, which is like a duochrome satin shade. It's very smooth but doesn't sparkle nearly as much as other shades. And Copper Popper by Luxie. This is one of the oldest shades that I have from them, which is a very fine satin shade. But right now I'm looking for something with a little bit of sparkle. Jade Glows is cute, but it doesn't shift at all. Out of all of this, the one that catches my eyes the most is Bonfire Babe, just because it has a bit of a stronger shift. Cephalopod is a large particle glitter shadow with pinky mauve base and the bright green, aqua and pink shifts. And I have just this one shade that even slightly fits that description. This is Jawbreaker by Luxie. You know, it's weird. I never realized how unique this was to my collection until I started looking for something similar to this. You can see it shifts from green to a very slight pink, and it has that mauve base, so it fits the description kinda loosely. Honestly, I don't have anything like that shade. That shade is the only thing that makes me hope they split the palette into singles. Shipwrecked is a smooth black red orange shadow with hints of gold and indigo micro shimmer. The closest thing I have is Brushed by Sydney Grace, which is a very smooth satin shade with a very dark base. And this Repan of a Glam Light shade, I'm pretty sure it was the one from the Kisses collection, the pink one. It's very sparkly in comparison to that smooth satin. I know exactly that multi-chrome. I've seen it from other brands, and honestly I've been avoiding it ever since I saw it because I don't like it. So I just know I'm not going to miss that specific shade, but I recognize that there needs to be a dark shade here if you want a little definition. So for that job I picked Brushed by Sydney Grace because it's going to be easier to blend out. And lastly, Scuba. Described as a slate gray base with medium glitter particles, softly shifting indigo, violet, and peach, with hints of yellow. And yes, I have absolutely nothing close to that description, so I'm just going to include some of my favorite purples. On top it's Terra Moon Chasing Comets, bottom is I Don't Give a Fuck by Touch of Glam, abbreviated of course, and Stormy Morning by Luxie, which is very sparkly and I swear looks way more impressive when it's not next to other more expensive shades. You can see those first two are very close, the only difference is the bases. Chasing Comets, it's a bit darker and warmer, while I Don't Give a Fuck, it's just a tiny bit bluer. So I'm picking that one just to stick with the cool purple theme, and because I've already used a lot of Luxie shades for this dupe. This honestly made me realize that I don't have nearly enough cool toned purples in here, but you know, maybe it's because I don't use them enough. Here's the finished palette. Seeing them all together like this makes me think I did a better job than I thought at first, to be honest. It's not exact, but it does give me the vibes. And now I'm just going to swatch out all of the shades together to see how it's looking like a palette. And so far so good, to be honest. I can see what they were going for. It gives me Treasure vibes, or maybe that's just because I know the title. And here's the same swatches under different lighting. I know these were thought about as a bundle of singles rather than a palette, but I can see some sort of cohesion in here. I'm actually going to try to use it on its own and see what I can get. And these are all the shades that didn't make the cut. Duping is such a fun exercise for me, honestly. Not only because I save money, but because I get to use my collection in a way that I didn't do before. So I hope this was inspiring for someone who's been wanting a palette to just reach into what you have and see what you can create. And that'll be all for me for now. Thank you for watching and have a great day.